reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm JClay, rapper, the spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect. Everything, anything, plenty perfect. Everything, anything, plenty perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty perfect mode. Perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty perfect mode. Perfect mode, everything, anything, plenty perfect mode.
Perfect.
What up? Welcome to Perfect Mode. First off, we want to start by telling y'all that we love y'all. We're grateful for the opportunity to be anywhere, sharing our thoughts, the way that we see life, and hopefully in helping you realize that you are perfect. And the reason why we can unapologetically say that without any reservation is because I know that you are one of one, numero uno. You cannot be duplicated, replicated. You are the one. You are the answer. And the only reason you would think that you're not if you're looking at this person over here and saying, I'm not them. But guess what? You are you, and that's all that's needed. And of course, it's yours truly, Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. And I have my boy, JClay, spiritual rapper and teacher. And we about to get on here talk about transforming challenges into opportunity. Transforming challenges into opportunity. What up, Jay?
What up? Happy Sunday to all the perfect people in perfect land doing perfect things always. And yeah, man, I'm excited to talk about transforming challenges into opportunity because these challenges, man. But yeah, go ahead.
Yo, so I know that this can go a bunch of different ways, and I kind of don't want to start the way that I want to start. But the thing is, my mind though, it kept hitting me this way. I'll put it like this. I thought about what is the biggest challenge that I have every day, right? And I kind of went down a little wormhole of thought. And the first thing, I'm going to shout out to my dad. So my dad is somebody who is schizophrenic, right? And he openly talks about it all the time. And, the thing that came to my mind is him having these multiple people that he's trying to compete with control of his body on a daily basis, right? And then, again, thinking about this topic, I started to think about that specifically. And I thought about the challenge of me competing with what I have deemed the best version of myself every single day. And then I went on to think like, okay, so there's 3 people that I compete with every day. And this is my challenge. Like the person that I want to be, or that I think that I'm headed toward that direction, the person that I actually am, and then the person that I don't want to be. And, that's where my mind went. But again, I don't want to go there if that's not what I want to know where your head was when you saw the topic.
Yeah, I mean that's a good thing to explore. So for me, I would say like a couple of years ago, I was living challenge free, so to speak, or not necessarily challenge free, but I recognized what they were, and I got in the habit of seeing what's in it for me. What am I there to learn? Why is this circumstance seemingly happening to me? Or better yet, I was seeing it as it was happening for me, but investigating the reason why. And now a couple of years later, I find myself kind of in the midst of some challenges, and I'm like, wait a minute, we don't do this anymore. Like, what's in this for me? Like, what's the reason this keeps coming up? Because normally when you overcome something, once it's overcome, it never comes up again. So of course, these are new challenges. These are new ways of being, but it's a way to explore that beingness as well. So yeah, it's something I was like, yeah, we gotta talk about it.
Yeah. So, it's crazy because again, this could be all over the place. But this is what I'll say, and I'll come back to my point, and then I'll come back to you. I know I only named 3, but in reality, for me, there are a million different versions of ourselves. Infinite. I guess I should say infinite. And the reason why I say that is because at any given moment, you can change the direction that you're wanting to go in. If you decide that you want to be a doctor today, you literally can go down the pathway of being a doctor. or if you feel like you want to be an NBA player today, you can really go down the pathway of being an NBA player. But when it comes to the challenge of being the best version of myself is where it kind of becomes prominent, because to me, it's more than just that specific thing that I want to be. It's just that no matter what that thing is, am I really giving that 100% effort to be whatever that is? And then that's where the next challenge poses itself, where there's always a hindrance because there might be a lack of belief, or something being believable to me. Is this really attainable? I know I really want to do it, and if I really do all these things to do it, will it come to fruition? But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and see, I think that's the first challenge to this challenge, so to speak, is all of the understanding we have of things. So one of the things you said, like, go full force to be something, but being is one of the easiest, most naturalist things we could do. You just be it. That's it. You're done. But we've created all these constructs around these ideas that in order to be considered this, or, to be in this state of being, X, Y, Z has to happen. Actually, A through Z has to happen in order for us to accept this state of being. And that's not entirely true. It's not true at all, actually. And so we send ourselves on this long journey riddled with challenges, but that is the challenge in this. Like, that's the first challenge, realizing that how you are now, you can be whatever you want or however you want to be.
So to that point, and there's another, I guess, outside force that comes into play with it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're 100% right. At any given moment, I could say that I'm a motivational speaker, simply. And you would assume that my steps will follow every single person that I talk to. And then this doesn't have to happen. Nothing has to happen. All I have to do is say that I'm that, and I am.
Yeah.
But you would assume that every person that I talk to from that point forward, it naturally would just come because I'm a motivational speaker. I'm going to motivate you, right? But then the outlying force is everything that we've been able to accumulate when it comes to, I don't even want to call it knowledge, because it's not knowledge, but what we've been able to witness through our lifespan to make something real or not, right? And so a part of that is that we only see highlights of everything. We only see highlights of everything, but the reality is we believe all the highlights. So whenever I say that I'm going to be a motivational speaker, what I do is I go and I look at all the motivational speakers. That's number one. And I think generally most people, whenever they say they want to be something, they start to seek examples. And so when I start looking at all those motivational speakers, now I can only see highlights of their life, right? I can only see the highlights. So I'm only identifying with the highlights. And then I start to say, well, in order for me to be this, now I already said I was, but now I start to give myself these caveats and saying, now in order for me to be this, I have to do this highlight. I got to do this highlight. I got to do this highlight, right? Not realizing that that person wasn't trying to complete any highlights. They were just living their life, and we only saw what we saw. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and you saying that, it made me realize something just for myself. So, yeah, I've done that too, where you start comparing yourself to others, which is, you said at the beginning of the show, we should not do because we're getting away from our perfection. And that's what we're doing when we're allowing others to define what that state of being is. So, like, for you to say, I am a motivational speaker, but then look to someone else or others to see what it means to be a motivational speaker, then you lost being a motivational speaker. Now you're a researcher. You're a something else. And that's not to say there's anything wrong with being a researcher, but that's taking you away from your state of being because you already know what it takes because you are that when you proclaim it and be in the presence of it.
So you want me to tell you what this makes me think of, though? And I think also this is kind of why we've been able to get to where we are today in the aspects of the businesses and the things that me and you have completed together. But I remember vividly, at least I feel like this is the way that I witnessed it anyway. While we were growing up, I'm gonna say growing up through our time frame, right? While we were making music, it felt like you were just like me. And what I mean by that is I didn't want to watch any award shows. I didn't want to watch anybody other. I didn't want to listen to anybody else's music because in my mind, I did not want to feel that. I didn't want to feel that. And then, and that's only because I love music so much. I didn't want to feel like I was in comparison or lacking anything based off of, again, everybody's watching the same thing, and you hear the accolades and the uplifting that they have and how joyous people are with these things, and the only thing you can feel is, why don't you feel this way about me, right? And again, it just kind of it's that extra weight that you kind of, well, we say the challenge of transforming that into an opportunity. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and that's true. Like, why do we need the validation from others? And that's more of a personal question that we should all ask of ourselves. Like, why is that important? Why isn't what I'm doing enough? Because that's in essence what would give you that validation from others. They see that you're being you no matter what. Like, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I remember what you were describing too, because yeah, like me not watching award shows in a sense at that time was me running away from that, because like you said, it's a feeling like I'm supposed to be up there. Why am I not up there? This hurts. Yeah. This feels funny. But like when I looked within and looked to myself, the only reason I felt like that is because I thought that I wasn't being this myself. And because whenever I am, I don't care. I can listen to anything. I can listen to anybody. I can see all the accolades in the world. It was just me running from myself, from the state of being that I know that I should embody.
But also, and I will co-sign and say I was doing the same thing, but also saying to myself, kind of in a backwards way, that I am not that. I'm not that, because mine does not look like theirs. And again, that's that comparison, saying that the only way that I can literally be okay being this is by looking like this. And it also, brings to mind something that you and I used to do to other people when we were out grinding, right? I remember when we used to go out, like me and you used to go out and sell CDs hand to hand, and we would come across rappers, right? And they'd be like, oh, I rap too. And I know you thought this too, because we say it sometimes. You don't do what we do. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be. And that was our way of being in the award ceremony, right? That was our way of separating ourselves and saying that, nah, we on a whole nother level. But again, we were still defining it when we could have just took the definition away for myself. And I think that was kind of a limit in itself. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. No, it was in a sense. I've been on the other side of that, and I just laughed because I remember how we would do that, because it's like, if you was doing what we doing, you would be out here doing what we doing right now, and some people were. But yeah, and that's the, how do I say this? Like we know how that feels, and it's like, why isolate ourselves from anyone? Because that's the catalyst that brings that I don't know, like that feeling of inadequacy when you're not doing that. So if you define doing as being valuable and giving meaning, when you're not doing, you feel inadequate, when it's almost impossible to do 24/7, whatever it is you do, like you need that break. But go ahead.
So to that point, so I'm gonna come back to it, right? Because I'm okay with defining doing, but I think there's one piece to that we got to add. It has to be fine doing you. Like when you define doing as what somebody else has qualified what doing is, then that's when you start to feel the inadequacy. Again, that's just like us watching the award ceremony, or us coming back to somebody and saying, well, you're not doing what we're doing, so you really cannot be, you really not this, right? And, it's just a funny thing that you can kind of get lost in that. You know what I mean? Like, and not even see that, and I'm talking about us giving it to other people, the limitation that we gave ourselves by saying, well, this is the only thing that qualifies me to be a rapper, when there are a bunch of rappers that I even look up to that have done these things, but because I haven't even defined that as well, like it shouldn't be a definition anyway. But I didn't even include those things into my definition. So I pigeonholed myself into this place that I am, and it can never change. Because in my mind, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, those definitions, in a sense, are creating more challenges than you might even actually have. Because when you define yourself as, this is the only way I have value, this is the only way I have meaning within myself, again, when you're separated from that, you created a challenge for yourself. Like, man, I was somebody. I'm nobody now because I'm doing nothing. And now you have to overcome that hurdle, that challenge, that mental challenge, only because that's what you define. When you can like, nah, let me just redefine. I'm still me. I'm still valuable. I'm still great as I am.
But look at this though. We told people at a time, number one, we defined ourselves as artists / rappers / moguls, right? And then we looked at people and said, you are not this because you are not doing this, right? But also there was another level to our thought process, which we weren't verbalizing, which was, we don't even want to do this. We don't even want to do this. But yet still, we defined rapping and being a mogul and an artist as doing this, right? And so that's what I'm saying. Like, we created the world and we lived there because we said this is what it looks like, even knowing that we didn't want to do that. And it's a crazy thought. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I call that the jailers that enforce the rules that they weren't even employed to enforce. Like, you because you're in jail, you want to keep somebody else in jail in a sense. And that's one of the most profound things. Like, we don't even want to live this type of life. Yet we're saying that, give me praise because I'm living in this type of life, so I'm better than you.
Glorifying crazy. What you don't want is a crazy thing for sure,
yeah.
Right? But I'll also say this, and again, just me thinking back then, I think that I thought what I think now, but it wasn't I didn't understand it, right? It wasn't registering like it registered today. And the crazy part about it is it always transfers, but it just kind of looks a little different in some kind of way. And I'll even go as far as to talk about me being a real estate broker, right? When I first became a realtor, the first thing that I started to do was look at what other realtors do, so that way I can have some kind of blueprint, right? But then once I saw the blueprint, I started looking at what other realtors did, so that way I can define my success, right? Again, not anything that I wanted to do. I was in opposition to it in the forefront of my mind, but my subconscious mind was agreeable to it. Like, it was kind of like this is this challenge that we're talking about, that it's hard to change it to opportunity. But I would fight it every day. And then one day I said, you know what? I'm just gonna be a broker, right? And so the moment when I said that, the first thing that I did was look and see what other people did to be a broker, right? And then I started to ask. I literally started to ask people, well, because I became a broker within 5 years. I started to ask other people, why haven't you become a broker? Like, why haven't you done this? And again, that's just, I didn't necessarily mean anything to it, but I was trying to structure in my own mind what it was supposed to look like instead of just doing. And what I would tell you is, in this process and me fighting this challenge every day, me releasing that is what's made me be able to grow the way that I'm growing, because I'm not literally looking at anything else and saying the way that it looks for me is just the way that it is. And that doesn't make it successful or not for anybody. That's the way that I have to say it to myself. So that way that you can remove the comparison, you can remove the structure, you can remove all the levels that you kind of put in front of you to make something worthy. Go ahead.
Yeah. And what's funny about it, again, is how you define yourself determines the types of challenges you will have. It also is how other people will define you too, or limit. Like, to define is, again, to limit. And as you said, like, when you let go of some of those labels or some of those definitions, a lot of the challenges vanished. And again, the only reason that some remain is because you're holding on to some definitions, to some labels about who you think you are. One thing that I've tested this on my own, because we talked about this before, where like, rappers might say something about themselves and then everybody else says it like it's law. Like 5 years later, it's like, oh, this is the best rapper alive, or this is the best rapper alive since the next rapper retired, or whatever. And I've tested this. I was like, well, I'm gonna say I'm this, and people will say certain things about me in that way. And again, it's eye-opening, because you can define yourself however you want to. And you don't even need others to accept it. As long as you accept it, it will be accepted.
So, and that goes back to me talking about how we define ourselves, right? Again, making a determination of what you want to be, looking at other things to try to get an idea of what that looks like, and then looking at highlights. And to your point, like the people that you're looking for, whatever you're looking for to get from them, the only thing that they ever see is highlights. There's only one person that sees not even all of me, but I would say 80% of me, and that's my wife and my kids, right? Even they don't get to see 100% of me. They only get to see a large highlight of my life, right? And so, like, when you really think about that, like, the only person that gets that 100% to know is you. And those bits and pieces that you give people, you're right, they do define you, because that's all anybody could ever know. And anytime you think anything, because I don't know, there are some people, let me tell you like this, there are some people that I know that give negative highlights because they don't know any better, in a sense, right? But those are the only people that could ever think anything different from you. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how, like, even those that are around us that might see us more, they might not even see the highlights of our lives because they're busy looking at their life. And again, based on how you define yourself, those are the highlights that you are attuned to. Like, there are billions of highlights going on right now we don't care nothing about, because we're not attuned to that, because we didn't define ourselves as an acceptor of that or like an acknowledger of that. But as soon as we do, like if I was to say I'm a music person, like I don't make music, but I'm a music person, I know good music, you're gonna be attuned to the highlights of people that make music, like no matter what you do. And that's eye-opening to me, because now I'm thinking about my social media and what I see and the highlights that I do see or that I pay attention to. It's only based again on how I've defined myself, and they're just showing me what I'm holding on to right now.
Bro, I'm going to give you an example too, man. Like, for a whole year, my back hurt. For a whole year. Like, when I tell you a whole year, bro, I could barely stand up straight because of whatever reason, it was like 2 or 3 years ago. For a whole year, right? But everywhere I went, I was up straight. It killed me. You hear me? Everywhere I go, it killed me, right? And then after that year was over, one day one of my friends was talking to me, we was kind of just chopping it up. And I was like, man, I can't really do nothing because my back jacked up. And they was like, what? And I was like, yeah, man, my back been messed up for a year. I can barely stand up straight. And they was like, what? And it didn't even register to me that I'm just talking to him because I was just telling the truth. But nobody had ever knew it. Nobody could even they wouldn't even believe me when I was telling them, because it was the highlight that they saw, which was that 15 minutes or an hour we were at birthday parties or whatever. I was up cool, fighting through it, again. And so when I think about the highlights, like, we tend to put on social media, we tend to put on in person that best version of ourselves that we think at least people see of us whenever we're around. Even with my kids, there's sometimes anger in me. Sometimes they might get it, depending on, the circumstances. But in most cases, they don't get to see that. So even they get highlights. Even my wife gets a highlight. I'll just be quiet. You know what I mean? So the thing is, like, you're the only person that get to see the 100%. And I think the challenge or transforming, the challenge is, first of all, identifying that what you want to be is period, right? And then making that be it. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, but what I want to say to that, to the highlights though, is again, it's only highlights to us. Like, we don't really know what a highlight is, because it's different for everybody. Like, my highlights of you is different than your highlights of you.
For me.
And that's not to say one is better than the other. And so we shouldn't even see a life of highlights. Like, we should just see, like, how I am is just how I am. It's enough. It's perfect. It's great.
That's the point that I'm making too, right? Like, I don't know what your highlights of me are. Matter of fact, I don't even know how. Like this, I do know what my highlights are. I don't know how you interpret my highlights, because you can look at me and say, well, he looks like he's doing good, but he always has a frown on his face. I don't know how you see that, right? So the challenge is what you said is just being, because that's the reason why it's so hard, or there's a challenge at all, is because you can't just be. You can't just be whatever you chose, that like with the 3 people that I told you about, the person I want to be, the person that I am, and the person that I don't want to be. Yeah. There's a person that I want to be that I feel like I want to be that person every day, but I've created a bunch of challenges that make me be who I am. Remove these challenges so that way it's easy. Because you can just be anything and remove all the stress, all the work, all the hustle, but it's just so difficult because of the accumulation of knowledge, and then also trying to interpret other people's highlights of you. This is what this person thinks of me. This is how they think this should go. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I was thinking about, because you talked about the person you want to be, person you don't want to be, the person you are, and like you talk about like these 3 different people, and again, none of them exist. You know what I mean? Like, so the challenge is not even being, well, there's no challenge in being. We make it a challenge by assigning a person or personality to being and thinking that it has to be this way. And so it really is about letting go. Like people say, just let go. And it really is that easy. But as soon as we do, we don't feel right, and we want to grab back onto that unsecurity, thinking it's security.
Now, again, that's what I'm saying. So I guess to give the best example positive, I want to be a happy person. It's just simple. Sometimes things make me mad. Sometimes things make me unhappy. And that's the idea of the people, right? So it's easy just to be happy. All you gotta do is just be happy. There's nothing else to do. Like, just be happy, right? But then things pop up that the person that I am, again, now when I become unhappy, I don't feel like I'm being who I really am, because I know it shouldn't matter. I know I should let it go. I know I should be able to just walk away from anything. But the problem is, because the way that somebody told me life is supposed to be, I do have an emotion toward that. Yeah. I do feel like I got to react toward that, right? And so it's like, break yourself away from these things and just be happy, because it's just that simple. Go ahead, Jay.
Okay, so check this out. This is the perfect example. I want to show, like, this mirrors creation itself. Okay, so right now, let's just say you're just being. That's it. You're just being. And then you say, I want to be happy. Now, by you saying you want to be happy, you've initiated a challenge of exploring what happiness is. So since you're exploring what happiness is, the only way to truly be happy is to also be happy in unhappy situations. But you can't explore happiness unless unhappy situations come your way. So the fact that you deemed what you want in the state of being you want, it's like you almost welcome these challenges. So it's like, if you don't want any challenges, just don't just be. Just don't define it. Don't say this is what you want to explore. None of that. But no, like, once you do, it invites that to see, okay, can you really be happy when nothing about the situation is typically what you would deem happy?
So this is the cool part about it, because you 100 right there, right? Because your state of being should be just whatever it is, no definition, right? So that way you don't have any construct to try to achieve. I'm with you, right? But the biggest, and this is why we're talking about transforming these challenges, it's difficult for people to realize that. Like, a state of being in, and this is just me looking out to all the people that I've been around, just being is not recognizable to people. Yeah. Just being is not something that's easily understood, even though I know exactly what you're saying, because you're right. Neither happy nor sad, just here is everything, right? But the problem is, and again, this is what we're talking about, based off of the information that we've received, being happy means smiling. Being happy means love. Being loved means, like, all of these things that it's in a moment, it's difficult to flesh out. And because it's difficult to flesh out, then you seek it. Now, to your point, and the funny thing is, I heard Bashar saying this the other day too, talking about recognizing the dark in order for you to see the light, which is 100, right? Like, you have to be up for the challenge. And that's where that's where I'm talking about the two people that I know this is what I want to do. And I have to overcome, again, another hurdle in order for me to recognize this so that way I can come back to realize what being just is. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. And so, okay, I want to bring this happy, not happy thing like this as well. So, okay, you deem you want to be happy. You invite the challenge of being happy. Like, can you be happy when
Regardless.
you have unhappy symptoms? Let's say you want to be wealthy. Can you be wealthy when everything looks like poverty to you? You want to be healthy. Can you be healthy when it seems like you're sick to other people? And that's the challenge in itself. That's the opportunity. Like, if you really are something, you are it no matter what, no matter the circumstance. Go ahead.
And two, just to your point, again, where we get into other people's head is when you seem like you're, poor to other people. You seem like you don't know what other people think. That like you just don't have any, because you're defining everything. Go ahead,
Right.
Jay.
Right. But I don't even mean to other people. I just mean to yourself. Like, how you perceive things is how you embody it, how you take it on. So if you say, man, I'm happy, I want to be happy, and then all these things that will just usually make a person mad, and you're seeing this and you're like, this is my challenge. Well, I have to overcome this challenge to get back to being happy. And it's like, no, this challenge is allowing you to be happy despite all of this. This is allowing you to be healthy despite all of this. This is allowing you to be wealthy despite all of this. Allowing you to be at peace despite all of this conflict. Go ahead.
No. That word that you just said was the key. It's allowing you. That's everything.
Yeah.
Because I think that perspective can help anybody realize that now you have the choice. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I think that personally, I think that being is not easily understandable to people. Because when you tell somebody to just be, they would literally tell you be what? Like, just say it to somebody. Like, they literally would tell you, like, be what? Well, be whatever you want to be. Well, I want to, and they'll literally come with a definition. Well, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be anything, because it's been so ingrained in us that it has to be defined. So because of that, it's a tough thing to figure out. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and that's one of the hardest things to do too, is to define yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and even doing that, I can't speak for others. Even doing that for me it's saddening, because it's like, if I define myself as this, that means I have to be this to the public. Like, I don't want to just be this. Like, I want to be this and more. I want to be, everything. But then there's a stigma about that. Like, he has no focus because he's all of these things. But again, that's the definition that I'm believing that others believe, or that I'm perceiving is real. So it's the challenge is seeing that there's no challenge and that there never is. And so it's the challenge is a good thing in a sense. But go ahead.
So I'm gonna say this. So I'm 100% with you, bro. We're moving it. But I would tell you, whenever I've heard somebody define themselves, well, number one, it's been completely impossible for me. It's been complete. Like, I've every time I've had to try to put it on paper or tell somebody, because again, even though I minimize who I am outwardly, who I am inwardly, I just felt like it's been so grand that it was no way that I could ever put it into words. So much I can't even understand it, right? But it was never saddening to me when I heard people do it. I was more amazed. And I'm gonna shout out to I ain't gonna say that now. I'm gonna shout out to somebody that used to be in a mastermind with us, right? And one day, they put on paper who they was, and they told us. And I was amazed. I was like, how can you put yourself down on paper like that? Like, I couldn't even believe it that they even thought that. Again, I don't want to say thought that much of themselves, because it's not like that. It's like you were that thorough enough to think enough of yourself to put all these things down. You know what I mean? But again, to your point, I don't feel like there's enough paper. I don't feel like I can even understand or interpret, because though there's some things that I do know I am, or I feel like I'm capable of, or I can be described as, I know that that's not it. I know that that's not all, and I know that I don't even comprehend it all. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, yeah, and right to that, like you said, it's not enough paper. It's true. Every day has its own many infinite states of being that all are worthy of being explored. And again, I'm grateful for this conversation because it's helping me see certain ways that I'm not allowing, that I'm not welcoming the challenge as a friendly thing, as a friendly reminder to like, no, you said you want to be this. We're just making sure you want to be this all the time. So this shouldn't stop you from being this circumstance, these definitions that you've come to face to face with. You only came face to face with them because you said this is what you want to be. This is how you're choosing to be. And yeah, I'm happy now to look in the face of these things and realize, oh, it's nothing there.
So let's talk about. So we literally have. Well, number one, we've been finding ourselves in this. So number one, so shouts out to you again.
Yeah.
But transforming challenges into opportunities. So for me, I think that what we've come to the conclusion in this is kind of is one of the main challenges, of course, is just trying to be. And I guess my thought process is, where is the opportunity and how to make that come to fruition? Go ahead, Jay.
So okay, I just got a thought, but it kind of goes with your question as well. Okay, to want to be anything, right, is acknowledging that you are not. So let me explain. So okay, like let's say,
I'm with you.
let's say you just had the happiest day ever. You like, I want to be like this all the time. Well, you're only saying that because you feel like it's not like this all the time. Or like if you think you're sick and you say I want to be healthy, you only want to be healthy because you think you're sick. And the funny thing is like it still comes back to defining the state of being that you want to be in, what you are, and how you're separating yourself from that by giving it something. Like you said, like if you tell somebody just be, you like, be what? No, you're missing it. You don't want to be anything. You just want to be. And yeah, this is blowing my mind right now.
No. I again, even to your point about the happiness and it's crazy, bro, because the state of mind, bro, is crazy. Like them, like my mind is just going a million miles per hour because again, it's not that we don't know, and it's not that anybody that's listening or watching doesn't know the things that we're saying, but the realization of how to transform that is it seems like it's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But in reality, it is the easiest thing to do. But yet and still, there's so much challenge in doing it. And I guess my question again, like, there has to be some type of exercise in being in order to make it easier to recognize, in order for it to start to make the transition to just being able to let go. Go ahead, Jay.
It is, and I'm smiling like this because I'm like, how did I slip back into old behavior? So I felt I've mastered this before, and then I kind of went back into it without even realizing. So okay, the way it's again, meditation is no secret. We hear it all the time. We like meditation again. Yes, because it's a way to practice quieting the mind. Like mind is associated with thinking. Maybe feeling could be more associated with being, but it's not even the feeling. It's just being. And when you let go of everything, you feel it. Like it's a divine feeling which can't be quantified by words. You can't even describe it. Like it's indescribable. But you can only practice it by letting go of everything, letting go of your thoughts, letting go even of your feelings. You just, however I am. And the reason I say it crept back up is because when I was fully just into this mode, like this is it. Like I'm not letting. I'm gonna make sure I really practice this state of being. When thoughts would creep up, I would just dismiss them immediately. Like, nah, I don't need to think about that right now, unless I'm actively doing this thing that I would require thought to. But I would allow myself of recent times now to allow myself to think about these things, even when it's not even time to think about it, instead of just being fully engaged with whatever I'm fully engaged with. So yeah, it comes back to that meditation.
Again, I'm just pointing out things that I feel like are important in the conversation. Being fully engaged. And then, going back to your point about saying, like, when you experience happiness and you say, I want to be happy like this all the time, not realizing that there could be a whole nother level of happiness, but you've literally pigeoned yourself whole into it has to look like this. It's just, it's just a crazy thought that we are literally training ourselves. Even when you're trying to get yourself out of it, you're still training yourself to be that way, just a whole nother way. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. And even in that, like when you're training yourself to do it, like you start to believe in the training itself. I have to be disciplined. I have to do this. So then you're bringing up another set of challenges. And again, all the challenges that we ever have, it's of our own doing, of our own creation. We're creating these challenges by, again, defining states of being when states of being aren't even meant to be defined. It's crazy.
So now, where is the opportunity? You know what I'm saying? Like, we know that I think the key here is definitely like meditating, and going back to something we talked about a couple of weeks ago, which is an idea that I love. I think that everybody should set a meeting with themselves every week, and the reason why is to the point of that phrase that you use being in total. What was you like being completely engaged, right? Setting a meeting with yourself and being completely engaged with yourself. Like, have an hour where you meditate and try not to give yourself anything to do. You know what I mean? Like, literally engage with just you only, whether that's just breathing, feeling your face, whatever that is. But then I guess my again, how does opportunity come out of that? I know what my answer is, but I want to know, for you, when you start to make that a habit and you start to put yourself, that being, in the forefront, where is the opportunity?
Yeah, the opportunity is to really see that nothing means anything. And I know that can sound disparaging depending on how you look at it. Like, what do you mean? Like this has no meaning? But no, it's a good thing. Like, this has no meaning. If things had no meaning, you can literally do whatever you want. You can be however you want to be. And so the challenge, if you will, is to actually be that in an opportunity where you typically couldn't be that. So a quick example, people want to learn how to manifest, how to make, something out of nothing, essentially. And all of the manifestation gurus say the same thing: act as if it's already here. And the way you can see this from how we're explaining it is, again, you want to manifest happiness in your life. Be happy right now. But you're like, how do I be happy right now when this is going on? Forget all that. Be happy. Like, if you want to manifest health. How can I be healthy when I'm coughing and I'm doing all this? Don't define that as being sick. Just be healthy, be well, like show your best self. Don't look a certain way to try to garner sympathy. Because I've done that before when sick. Like I want to show people I'm sick, so it's like assist me or so. You know what I mean? Like, and people do that with poverty as well. Like if you're going to be wealthy even in poverty. And like once you make that switch, everything is easy and it's challengeless. What would you say?
Yeah, well, so number one, to answer, so number one, your steps are on point, but I think my answer is the opportunity is is infinite. Like, to me, by letting go and not defining everything and saying nothing has any meaning, it gives it all the meaning in the world. Like it gives you. I love having a 5-year-old, right? Because this kid doesn't know anything, but he knows everything. That's the best way that I can think of it. And I always say, because and again, I hate to even think that to even think that this is happening, but I define things for him, right? I mean, even having a conversation, I hate it. You know what I'm saying? And I used to tell you all the time how TJ used to say stuff like, what if Superman had flash feet? The kids will just, it doesn't matter. Like, it matters to you. I'll be like, bruh, Superman cannot have flash feet. Like, that don't even make sense. But again, they are so open to anything being possible. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I know I heard the words that's coming out of my mouth, right? But using my son, my 5-year-old, as an example, and basketball, which is the thing that he loves so much, he comes and talks to me about hypothetical situations all the time. Like, Dad, so what if I go down the court and I do this and all these different things? Or when I do, he's always in a hypothetical world. And I'm always like, bruh, like, you got to practice. Like, I'm starting to create these things. Like, you can do that, but you need to do this at the house first, right? You need to do all of these different things first. And sometimes he goes out on the court and it's stuff that I never seen before. And then I'm amazed, like, how did he do that? Because he didn't have that limitation that I have in my head. And so, like, I said that to say, be that blank canvas and just do that more. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, so check this out. And that's a perfect example of being these rule enforcers of rules we don't want. So, like, I can only imagine if I had kids, I want them to be seen as smart. But what we see as smart are people who know all of these definitions. You got to know what this means. You got to know you got to know how to behave this certain way when this certain circumstance happens. And it's like you in a way, you're indoctrinating young ones to be limited in a sense. And like you said, like, they are already open and know everything. And in us trying to limit them, we are just limiting ourselves. We are believing in the limitation. And like you said, like the reason you're surprised is because you had a limit set. You shouldn't be surprised. Like he should be able to just fly to the rim at 5 years old, and there's no surprise. Like, yeah, of course he can do that. Everything is possible, but it is not possible because we don't believe it's possible.
But the crazy part about it is, even in what you just said, when, again, he surprises me too, right? But then other people that don't see now, and I'm going to come back to the definitions that I gave, right? Or the reasons that I gave. Now, some things we do work on, and some things he is able to recreate in games or in practices and stuff. And people will look at me and they'll be surprised. And then I'm giving confirmation by saying, of course he can do that. We be at the house doing this all the time. And that kind of reinforces the behavior. It's what makes you do the same things that you've been doing, because you've deemed that this is the only way that it can work. And we do that with ourselves. Like, something that you've worked on, over and over again, you'll say, of course I can do that. But then sometimes you might do something by accident and you're surprised, like, you weren't supposed to be able to do that. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah.
And it wasn't by accident, just to say it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I'm thinking about some of my creations that people give credit to me toward. It was the easiest thing ever. But like, sometimes when I try to recreate these things, it's the hardest thing ever, because I'm now looking at it through the lens of these limitations. It's got to be just like how this moment was. It's got to be just like this moment. But like pure creation, you have no control over. It's just a flowing. It's a being. It's a beingness, and that's really the only way to be. So if we are enforcers of anything, we shouldn't be enforcers of anything. But if we are, it's more so of helping people to let go of those limitations and realize that that's just one way. Like you said, it's infinite ways. That's just one way out of infinity.
Bro, I'm going to tell you something that just came to my mind, right? And this is, and I don't know how this came about. So Brody, my 5-year-old, he just got AB honor roll and a citizenship award the other day. And I know this is all about being defined. It could just be how he see me get hyped with certain stuff. I don't know, right? But my mother-in-law, she sent me a text and said, when you come to my house, Brody's going to tell you something, and he thinks that all you're going to just say is, of course you did. You're smart. You're good. Like, like I normally do. Because I told you, I tell them the same stuff all the time because I just want them to think that's what I think of them no matter what. But he wanted me to be a little bit more excited, right? And I thought to myself in the moment, of course, I'll say this to get the story to the end. I was more excited than I would normally be because I wanted to satisfy the environment or the moment or what he may have anticipated. But I do know that the way that my wife is the way that I was when I went over there, right? And what this has made me think about is defining how something should be, even for kids at a young age, right? And even translating to me and how I think that somebody should respond to me. Even like when when I would send you a song, and in my mind, I would be at a time I'd be like, man, JClay gonna be like, this thing go hard. And I've literally defined how you should respond to me, even though you saying, oh, that's a tight song, should feel the same, right? Yeah. But somewhere along the line, I've deemed, and now even with a kid, we've deemed that the only way that this acknowledgement can mean anything is if it looks a certain way. And that takes away so much opportunity for what it could be a million different, like you can get acknowledged by a million people at one time, but this is okay with you because you felt like this is what it's supposed to be. Going back to us going out and selling CDs saying that I know I don't want this, but this is how it's supposed to look. And, just kind of thinking it all through, it's just a crazy thought that we are so accustomed to making everything look the same that it's crazy. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, so it's so much in that, and I know we only got like 8 minutes left. Okay. So, it's funny because, yeah, like you said, we define the type of praise that we want to receive. Like we can get all types of praise. If it's not the type that we deem that is the right one, we are not satisfied. And again, that's crazy. Like we're missing all of this love we could have been getting for this one little strand of a certain way. And so much going through my head. It's just so crazy how limiting we allow life to be. And even, this is what I'm gonna say. Even if, let's say we define it a certain way and our friend or loved ones know that this is how you want to receive it, and then they give it to you like that way, and you're like, yeah, but of course they're gonna say that they're my friend. And if you define it as less than it is, you undefine it in a sense. Like you're willing to undefine that, but you're not willing to just let go of the definition completely of that. Even praise has to look a certain way, or that you even have to have praise to be validated. But go ahead,
man. The funniest thing is the most freeing time when I actually was working in corporate America, I stated to myself, and I don't know if this was really real. This is just me having a revisionist history mentality, right? But I don't know if it was real. But while I was working, I would always say, I don't have to have recognition in order for me to do my job, right? Yeah. And the opportunity in that was I was always happy just going and doing what I was supposed to do. Like I was always okay. And the opportunity was me doing more. The opportunity was me being able to grow in my business, go from being an agent to a manager. The opportunity was people being able to receive me in a way that I felt like they should have received me, right? And then people started to give me recognition, right? Or somebody was saying to me, you should have got that award. You should have got that award. And I remember when it happened, the first thing that happened was I got upset. And when I got upset, it was because I didn't get an award that I never cared about in the first place because I felt like I should have got it because somebody defined it for me. And then what followed was my behavior at work. Meaning I didn't go and be, crazy, but I started not wanting to be at work. I started feeling stressed. I started, all of these different domino effects happened to me all because the way that I defined something didn't happen the way when I was happy all the way from the beginning anyway. But it just goes to show how it plays that much of a role, and it strips you of all opportunity, because now before I wanted to move up to the next level, but then I didn't want to do that anymore. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and you telling this story, you have point out to me something I usually say when I'm doing a job for somebody else. I'll just say, so like if I'm doing something, I'll be like, man, they lucky because I go hard at this, and I'm gonna give a full effort, even though I'm not really being paid, the effort that I'm putting into this. So they lucky, and so I'm in my mind, I'm elevating them to lucky status, which then deluxifies me or whatever. I don't know what the word would be, but you know what I'm saying. Like it does that to me by me creating that separation, and so now I'm in an unlucky state where I see all of them as lucky, but I'm de-affirming myself when I can say, man, they are lucky they got me. I go hard, and I'm lucky that I have the opportunity to see this in myself, to see the greatness that I have. Like I'm lucky too. Like we are both lucky. The whole world is lucky. Like we could. It's that easy to define things like that can change your entire mood or your entire state of being, but we don't recognize how we say we don't have power, but then we'll big up someone else, but not be willing to big up ourselves.
Man, you hit that. And my mind went a bunch of different places, but I know we're at the end, man. But I will say this about that, right? Even from the thought process of saying that they're lucky, it was to say that there's no other jobs that were there out there for you. And again, strips you of the opportunity, which is it's just a crazy mentality, bro. Like, but nonetheless, we know now, right? And we understand that, removing these definitions opens up the opportunity for more. The challenge is just realizing that you can just be. And the reality I do know is that everybody will accept you as you are. You just have to, let go and give it a chance. And, the best way that I think that you can go about doing that is, take that time, like Jay said earlier, meditate. Set a meeting with yourself every week, unapologetically. Don't worry about what nobody else talking about. Don't worry about nothing that you got to do, and just know you. Do you, and see where you can see once you start to see yourself, because you don't see yourself today. You know what I mean? And I just want to tell everybody we appreciate y'all for joining us. Without y'all, we wouldn't be here. We definitely be doing something, but we definitely wouldn't be here. And I hope that that we help you see that you are just enough. There's nothing else outside of you that's necessary. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, I want to say this too, because I want to correct one of my limitations that I just kind of gave out there when you had asked the question earlier. I said meditation, and again, that might not be the only way. That's one out of infinity. So so if anybody has any other ways to share as well, please put that in the comments to just get back in that state of flow, that state of being. Because it's the easiest thing to do, but we make it the hardest. And somebody might see meditation as the hardest thing to do when you don't even got to make it that hard. Do what's easy for you to just get back in that flow.
Real talk, man. And you go ahead and take us out, bro, because again, y'all are perfect, and I just want to make sure y'all know that.
Yeah, and I appreciate all y'all rocking with us all the time, man. Like, just if you find this helpful at all, hit the share button, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and just remember, you're a perfect creation made by a perfect creator. So you might as well accept your perfection and enter perfect mode.
Yeah.
If I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm JClay, rapper, the spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect. Perfect. Everything, anything, many things, plenty things, perfect. Everything, anything, many things.